Hey everybody, welcome back to my coverage of the PogChamps 3 tournament. This is the second championship quarterfinals match, Daniel Negreanu versus BenjyFishy, and we are in game 2. Daniel took the first game in a very long and hard-fought game. If you missed that, you can check it up there in the little info box. Come back and watch this game. But BenjyFishy does need to win this game in order to take us to a tiebreaker game, and he has to do it with the black pieces. So he's a small rating favorite, but will he be able to do it? Because once again, he does need this win in order to not be eliminated. So let's see how the game played out. We have e4 from Daniel and now e6 from BenjyFishy. BenjyFishy playing that French defense. We have d4 and now d5 continuing the main line, and knight c3 from Daniel. So we could see a Winnow French variation, or perhaps a Rubinstein, or maybe a classical with knight to f6. So what variation will we see? We see d takes e4, which is the Rubinstein variation of the French, and we see knight takes e4 now. We have knight d7, knight to f3, knight g f6, and bishop d3. These are all both known moves and also very good moves from both players here. Just, getting their pieces developed, and they're both playing very well so far. We have knight takes e4 now, and bishop takes e4. Knight to f6, hitting this bishop, and bishop g5, now pinning this knight. We have bishop e7 breaking this pin, and Daniel goes for the trade. Bishop takes f6 and bishop takes f6. I probably wouldn't go for this trade because you don't really want to trade your bishop for a knight for nothing. Now you're kind of just giving black the bishop pair. But, it is an acceptable trade. I probably would have just moved the bishop back to d3 instead of trading. But once again, it is an acceptable trade. We have queen to d3 now, and now g6 from BenjyFishy, just giving this bishop some space to come to g7 if needed. I think bishop d7 would have actually been just a more active move, just finishing development, very principled, and you don't have to worry about this bishop takes b7 move because now there's rook b8 and it's a skewer on white's own b pawn. So this would not be very good for white because after bishop e4 and now rook takes b2, this rook would just be somewhat annoying for white. So white probably wouldn't want to go for this bishop takes b7 move. But we have g6 from Benji, which is a fine move as well, and both players castle. We have knight e5 now from Daniel, and queen d6, now attacking this knight twice. So Daniel definitely should defend it. I think the best move here is rook f to e1, and this defends the knight through the bishop. The idea here is if you take this knight now after d takes e5, you cannot take this pawn because if black plays queen takes e5, now there is, you can play bishop takes g6, or even better is bishop takes b7, now hitting both the rook and the queen. So white will definitely be very winning here. Probably the best try for black is to take this rook and then save their own rook, or not save their own rook, but just take this bishop and play this imbalance. But instead from Daniel, we do not see this rook f to e1. Instead, we see c3. So I don't know if he just didn't notice that this knight was attacked twice, but he does solidify the center, but he does also lose a pawn in the process. So probably not the best variation, and now BenjyFishy is up a pawn. We have f4 from Daniel, and I don't really like this move. You are attacking the queen, but you are also really weakening your king, and this is just going to be a long-term weakness that you're going to have to deal with. So, rook f to e1, rook a to d1, both, very natural moves here. Either of those moves would have been great moves. But we have f4 instead, and we'll see if Benji punishes Daniel for this, positional mistake. We have queen d6 now, offering the queen trade, and maybe Daniel should go for this queen trade. I don't know if I have a strong preference of whether Daniel should go for this queen trade or not, but probably not, seeing as Daniel is down a pawn. But with this weak diagonal, maybe it is worth it. But Daniel decides not to go for the queen trade. He plays queen to h3, which is kind of not a very good spot to put your queen because now you're lining yourself up for discoveries. Black can play e5 at any time. I think g3 would have been a better spot for the queen, sort of just defending your king. And also not lining yourself up on the same diagonal as this bishop. We have king g7 from Benji, and I'm not really sure what this move actually does. Here, Benjy actually had an opportunity. He could have played queen to b6, and this is a fork on the king and the pawn, the b pawn. So white would need to play rook f2 to defend, and this is just walking into sort of an annoying pin. You know, black can play rook to d8, look to play rook to d2 maybe later on, and yeah, this pin will just be annoying for white to handle. And it's all possible because white played this f4. Let me just remind you. So don't weaken your king, guys. Don't weaken your king. Keep your king safe. It's very important. But we have king to g7 instead. Benjy does not go for this queen b6 move. And now rook a to d1. Daniel attacks Benjy's queen. Definitely very good. But now Benjy goes for this queen b6 check. And here Daniel makes a huge blunder. So once again, you have to play rook f2 and defend your b2 pawn. But instead, Daniel plays rook d4. I don't know why Daniel thought blocking with this rook was necessary. I mean, to me, it just very obviously fails. You know, you don't want to be stepping into pins in the first place. And also, I noticed that this rook can be attacked with a discovered attack on the queen. But yeah, I mean, much better would have just been rook to f2. I think Daniel here was thinking I can double up my rooks on the d file, like save some time by playing rook to d4 now, and then I can double up in only one more move. But like I said, this just fails tactically to this move e5, which both attacks the rook, so you cannot take this pawn because your queen will hang, and if you move your queen, you'll lose your rook. So will Benjy find this e5 tactic? Let's see. Yes, he does. He plays e5. So Benjy will win at least a rook here, and this will definitely be very winning. There's no defensive mechanism for white here. So Daniel actually doesn't even notice that his queen is attacked here, and he plays f takes e5, and Benjy happily accepts this queen with bishop takes h3. And here Daniel plays the classic double blunder. You know, you make a blunder one move, and then you make another blunder the next move. He doesn't even take this bishop, which afterward he said, like, why didn't I take that bishop? He said that aloud on his stream. But instead he played b4, so saving his b pawn. And Benjy obviously saves his bishop, and now Benjy is up a entire queen. So he could blunder this back to Daniel, but I think it's really unlikely at this point. So let's see how he converts this. We have rook to f6 now, pinning Benjy's bishop to his queen, and rook a to d8. Just looking to trade this rook. Benjy is okay with trades here. We have king to h1, getting out of that pin, but also introducing a back rank weakness to your king. And now Benjy takes this rook. Rook takes d4, c takes d4, and after queen takes d4, this is now a fork on the bishop and the back rank. So you cannot save both of them. If the bishop comes to f3, then there's simply queen to a1, and it's the same ice skater as it's called in PogChamps. But we have rook to f1 defending this back rank, and queen takes e4 picking up that bishop. a3 now, and bishop d5. Benjy going for this mate, and this is actually a mate in 8, even if white plays the best move, which is rook to g1. But, you know, black is just up so much material here. There's absolutely nothing you can do. You can't even hope for stalemate or anything. So Daniel here just plays king g1. I think he knows it's all over, even though I think he probably saw he could have defended for a little while. He probably just knew it was all over at this point. And this allows Benjy to checkmate with queen takes g2. So very quick game, only a 26 move game. I wouldn't be surprised if this is the fastest game we see in the championship bracket, only 26 moves. But who knows, I could be wrong about that. And Benjy does tie the matchup 1-1, so we will be going to a tiebreaker. The tiebreaker format is a little different than the group stage, but I will explain what the format is in the video covering the third game. So yeah, I don't think I have anything else to say. Benjy played really well this game. Sucks that Daniel missed that tactic with that pinned rook and the discovered attack on the queen. But yeah, I don't think I have anything else to say about this game. So check out my PogChamps 3 playlist up there, and check out the tiebreaker game of this match on the left side of the screen. Thank you for watching. I love you all. Stay awesome, and I'll see you next time.